Hi, guys. Today I wanted to share some pretty powerful insights on pre-birth memories and how it feels like to enter this reality. And in order to do so, I had to go back to the moment that I was born, literally right before and right after, and what it felt like for that. So I wanted to share some insight that came through with that. I'm going to read from my notes here that I wrote down in my booklet. Now, I also want to say that I have been doing a lot of soul searching and a lot of soul digging over these past few, and I've been unlocking a lot of things. And one of the things is connecting with my own birth DNA, which is basically the purpose of what the insight came through, and then also restoring my soul blueprint and working with that. I also teach this in my DNA healing course, which has everything you need to know on how to heal your own DNA, how to see how powerful your DNA is, and what exactly it is, all the information it stores, and how you can actually unlock and restore your own divine soul blueprint. From what I've gotten so far is that this is really the holy grail of spirituality, like restoring and connecting with your own divine soul blueprint is everything that you need to know to go forward in this lifetime. So it's the most powerful tool that I've ever gotten. And it really is a holy grail of your own spirituality. But I want to share the insight that came through just to also show you how traumatizing it is to be in this reality. A little bit of info beforehand because it's going to make more sense. When I was born in a hospital. So this was not a home birth or anything the way people do it nowadays, or how they used to do it in the medieval ages. But, I was literally born in a hospital. Also, I wasn't born alone. So as some people know, I have a twin sister. She's a few moments older. We share a lot of the same astrology, constellations, and everything. And yet we have completely different life paths, completely different personalities, and we are completely different from each other. Which is also why I'm always so critical towards astrology, because we share almost the exact same planets and constellations or whatever you want to call it, but we are completely different people. Like we couldn't be even more different. And so she was born a few moments before me. Both of us were born not by C-section, but natural birth, which must have been exhausting for my mother. Like back in those days, no matter when, it must have been just so, even that experience in and of itself must have been a trauma that she must have gone through. And so what I got was, first of all, I received a vision of a baby being born, and that was me. And instantaneously, this feeling washed over me of me not liking it. I did not like that experience one bit. My body was aching and hurting. The doctor that was present was shooting something up my foot. And the only thing it could have been was either one of those vitamins that they give children right away, or one of the what shots that they give children also. And every single time that when I connect with that in and of itself, there's instantaneous trauma. There's always this weird feeling in my foot. So they must have given a lot of shots into the feet of babies back then, maybe even nowadays. I know sometimes they do it in the arm or other body parts, but somehow I always get my foot when I connect with that, and it's always a very traumatizing experience. And I feel the main reason for that is because it's not a natural thing at all. It's literally poison that they're putting in your system. So I got that right away, that they were already trying to poison me and also my twin sister the moment we were born. Also, there was more than one doctor present. So there's actually this whole team present because it was a twin birth, and it was a little bit of a spectacle because they were documenting it and writing down some notes and everything. Like I guess back in the days for that hospital, it was something special. My mother was feeling overwhelmed and barely alive, really, like barely, as not really like a human. She was feeling like she was literally just this medium or this carrier who was giving birth, who had just given birth. And to me, it felt so tough and abusive here in this reality. I am dreading all the trauma ahead and also the abuse that's yet to happen. So I could already instinctively feel this is a very just low level, low vibe place, just traumatizing place. I was dreading people mistreating me and other people, always having to fight for things in this reality. I do not want to be here. I want to exit right away. It was one of the thoughts I had right away. I want to be gone. It just feels too tough to be here. I cry as a baby like I've never seen a baby cry. I cry tears of trauma, anger, shock, and disappointment. It feels cold and lifeless here. And I'm thinking I already picked up on all the AI in our reality back then. And nowadays it's even way more AI. Just look at every single bit of AI around us, the Wi-Fi, the computers, the this, the that's. But back then there was already so much AI, whether it's human AI, like robotoids and soulless beings, but also just AI in general. Back then they had computers too and all of that. And the thought I had was I want to go back to where I came from right away. I do not see a purpose in being here, and I do not feel connected to the place I was born. It does resemble other places here on Earth a bit, but it does not resemble it enough. And it has the same landscapes, it has the same climates of places that I actually like, but I just do not feel a connection and care about the locals that live in this place or anything really going on in that place. So I cry. And when I got this vision of crying, all the children's pictures and the baby's pictures that you see online, where when a child is born and they scream out of the top of their lungs, right? All of that is so true. And the reason they do that is probably because of this. They don't want to be here. It's completely traumatizing. It's dense. It's heavy. They just don't want it. It's just such a contrast to where they came from. I feel more connected to a different area and even era, but a lot of trauma happened there. And in every lifetime, trauma has happened so far. I feel I was pushed into this reality and I did not want to enter. So that would be another version of volunteering to come here. No, you were pushed into this reality and you really did not want to enter. And probably you were also being pushed during a time that you didn't want to enter. Like I believe some people, they're trying to mess with your own birth dates and astrology and everything. So for some people, that could very well be true. I didn't necessarily get that on me personally. I do think I can work very well with the dates that were given to me, but I do think for some people, especially if some people had, let's just say, a miscarriage, you were supposed to be born on that day, but then your mother had a miscarriage, and so you're born like 9 months later or a year later or 2 years later. So all of those things could very well be true, right? From the screaming baby on the table that wants to roll off and fall down and die, but other people are preventing the fall. So I really got this vision where somehow I was put on this table. I don't know if it was like an examination table, and it felt like my twin was on a different table somehow. So putting us on these separate tables, probably deciding what to do next. I was trying to just roll off somehow. It was like a bit of a weird vision, actually, just to see that. I was trying to, exit myself out of this reality. But that's literally how I saw it. And I'm pretty sure if someone's a mother and watching this, you can maybe even confirm that your own child or children in general might be doing that when they're born. They wiggle around. They maybe just want to fall on the ground or something. So I wanted to fall, but people around me were preventing this fall. This is like the team of staff, like the nurses and doctors that were around us. They are keeping me here by doing that. And from all of that, I trace back to my soul blueprint. And for that, I have to enter a different reality. In this one, it feels cold, and I actually have to pull it out of somewhere. And I discuss exactly what happens with that in my soul blueprint version of the DNA healing course. But basically, it feels easier to just be in the matrix. to get an office job, a 9 to 5, or even let's just say a factory job or any type of job that wants them for us to be in a treadmill, right? They want us to be in their matrix, in this treadmill. It feels easier to get a job like that and to live life according to a script, half sleepwalking. Everything else just feels like a battle against the system. Exhausting, tedious, shocking, traumatizing, like a race, like a fight against us. It's a constant fight against us. Giving up the fight and cashing in on those benefits feels easy. And this is where they want us. They want us to be in their system, to have the 401k, to have the health benefits, the medical benefits, which you don't really need, to be honest with you. If you really know how to keep your body healthy, how to keep your soul, body, mind, all of that healthy, you don't need any of these benefits because you know how to heal yourself. You know how to use the holistic methods and means to heal yourself, but they don't want that. They want you in fear. They want you in these jobs that you're not supposed to even be doing. Like none of these jobs have any type of creative expression, at least most of them don't. And if they do, let's just say you're a copywriter or you're some sort of artistic person in an ad agency or whatever, you're only creating something, or let's just say you're an architect, right? You're only creating something in accordance to their own ideas, not your own. They don't want us to be self-employed, independent with our own careers, our own businesses, to be freelancing, to have our own visions, our own artistic expressions, to have our own companies. They don't want us to have any of that. And they really try to keep us down with a lot of this. And just by even recording this video, I had to restart it like 3, 4, 5 times because every single time they were throwing one weird distraction at me or another. And so with all of this, they just try to make us feel so miserably that we either have to go back into the reality that they want us to be, or we're never going to be where we really want to be. It's just going to take forever. It's always going to be a constant fight. Some people are never really going to make it or never going to see the results that they want, or it's just going to be so tedious and so hard to fight against the system that some people just give up and they just go back to what they know. And that is in the system. They want you with the benefits, with the this or that. I'm not saying benefits are bad. You know, like for some, it can be a great way to live. But basically, what you're going to do is you're going to go from the moment you're born into a kindergarten system, into a school system, into a high school system, into a university or an apprenticeship, depending on where in the world you are. From there, you're going to go until age 65, 67, or 70. You're going to be working, and then you're retired. And when you're retired, you're what? You're too exhausted to think about any of these things. I already see it. You know, I have parents who are exactly at that age right now. They're baby boomers. They are exactly of that generation that's still working, but they're about to be retired, right? And I already see it in them where they've lived their entire lives and good for them. But at the end of the day, when they retire, they're not going to be able to, let's just say, travel the world, you know, extensively the way you can when you're young, because you have the energy to do that. They're not going to really be able to start a new company in that sense because you need the energy for it. You need the focus for it. You need the mental capacity for it. You know, they may or may not do that. There are a lot of sharp people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, of course, but you can do all these things in a way better way when you're younger. Let's just be honest. And I'm not really saying age matters or age does not matter, but in a form or another, age can work against you, especially if you're not keeping your mind sharp enough, which is never taught in these type of jobs, right? Some people are amazing at age, and my own family tree is like that too. You know, I have grandparents who are in their 90s now. They're still very sharp people. But I see it with others who are in their 70s and 80s, and it almost seems like they're about to pass away because they went through the system and then they retired. And then what? What do you really live for? They don't give you a goal or a destination. And that is really the danger with this entire being in a system. And it's a little bit of a rant. I'm sorry about that, but I think you get the point. So I pull out the blueprint. I study it extensively. There's information that comes through with that too. And while I'm doing all of this, by the way, I get that these two guys are astral viewing parts of my baby journey, parts of my connection to the birth DNA. And it almost feels like they're part of the military. I try to cut him off. I try to put a protection around but I feel they just have so many means and methods to monitor us that it's just mind-blowing. Every time I do something like this, it's mind-blowing what comes through. I feel tired and exhausted, and that even the Wi-Fi in my apartment should be off when connecting with these parts of me. It was traumatizing. And a lot of people's lives just feel like we're going through the motions. Then we retire and our youth, freedom, and will is gone. The question is, where was I before entering this reality? And I feel this is the question for another video and just more insight. But I also feel that's why some of us don't want to celebrate our birthdays extensively, because the birth was so traumatizing and we're subconsciously remembering that. Maybe not on a conscious level, but for sure, deep down in our soul and subconscious memory, we still have that. When entering, everything hurt, and it was shocking too. So it was literally like a shock to the system. And that's pretty much what I got in that form. Now, once again, if you want to do your own soul journey on this, I'm going to put a link to the DNA healing course below. It also shows you how you can restore to your soul blueprint. Another topic I wanted to touch upon briefly are light traps. And how do these light traps work? So this was interesting because a person left a comment on one of my videos, and the person started talking about light traps with histamine and how science uses that. And I'm like, light traps? So they're actually basically already saying there are light traps out there, even if they're not trapping humans in that form, but that they are actual light traps, similar to the idea of going into the light after you die, which I have a video on that. And these light traps basically take advantage of the attraction of many insects to a light source. So the controllers view us as an insect, if you want to put it that way. And they take advantage of the insect's disorientation when they're attracted to this light source. The light traps use various wavelengths of light as the attractant. A great variety of traps can be devised using a basic funnel and collection container design. Every single thing about this definition, if you just turn it around and apply it to humans and how they're being trapped in this reality and then pushed back in, like I already saw in my pre-birth memory, mind-blowing, mind-blowing. So they're using different light wavelengths and like maybe brain wavelengths in general to keep us here, to hypnotize us here, to do all these things. The light traps, with or without ultraviolet light, UV light, attract certain insects. Light sources may include fluorescent lamps, mercury vapor lamps, black lights, or light-emitting diodes. Designs differ according to the behavior of the insects being targeted. Light traps are widely used to survey nocturnal moths. And where are we right now? In this cave reality with a fake artificial sun, with a few different fake artificial suns. And we are basically the moths in this reality, according to that, right? Light traps are widely used visual traps to control the menace of agricultural pests. The main light source attracts the phototrophic insect, such as moths, flies, beetles, wasps, all of that. If used alone, the light traps may fail to collect important or infected vectors, and light traps are inefficient or ineffective when competing ambient light is present. So if there's another light source, let's just say regular daylight, and these insects or humans are trying to enter it, we wouldn't even go down that tunnel of light if there was another light source, let's just say the proper source where we all originate from. Just another thought to consider, right? Very interesting, this entire light trap idea. Another thing that's interesting to me is I came across these Instagram photo stories of this photographer. He currently lives in Iceland, and he photographed a few Icelandic caves. So there are hundreds of underground caves in Iceland whose purpose is unknown. And one of them is this one right here. So he's saying there are over 200 man-made caves in South Iceland, and they're all carved out like this. This is the Cave of Hela, or the Caves of Hela. And so it's going to be so hard to actually get the second picture. I don't know why that is. So this is one, you can see the tunnel right there. Once again, a tunnel leading somewhere, also very interesting. Then we have the Celtic cross dug into the sandstone. Nobody knows the date. And you see the cross right there. And you have the church cave. And what he's writing is basically, I have driven by the caves of Hela probably 1,000 times and never stopped. This place blew my mind. I can't believe it's right off the road, for sure, bringing my kids back to see this. So what he's basically saying is no one knows the purpose of these caves and the date it was dug. A cave that was used for church service included an altar, places to hold torches, separate clergy entrance, and even bench seats carved into the sandstone. Now, obviously not those chairs that you see, but actual like benches and everything carved into that. Mind-blowing. Now, my question is, why do people need all of this carved into it in an underground cave? As you can tell, it's underground, right? It's in Iceland, but still it's underground. Even when it does get really cold in Iceland, why do people need this when they can just live above ground? Well, the only answer is they can't live above ground, or they can't live in the outside environment. So they have to do this. And why couldn't they live in the outside environment? Well, maybe what? Because there was a nuclear war going on, or the atmosphere was not habitable. Like something was going on, right? And let's just go into the actual website of those caves, Caves of Hela. This is what they look like on the website. So very extensive art here. They're saying Iceland wasn't really inhabited until the year 1000 or so, when the Vikings came and just took everything. And here you have some researchers trying to figure out what date all of this was. And so you have all these extensive carvings and everything in there. But we know our timelines have really been messed with, no matter what, right? Like we obviously know that at this point. So I don't know why it's acting up like that. This is what I'm saying. Every time you want to record something important, they're really acting up the technology around you. But the reason for having caves like this is because people had to live in this cave reality. And there's this huge cave in Vietnam where there were even steps, and people are visiting as a tourist attraction. There were these steps carved in an underground cave in Vietnam, one of the biggest caves on Earth, which I already discussed in a different video, which is the cave reality video. So the only reason people live in caves is because you cannot live outside. And the question is, why couldn't they live outside? Was it because of one of the mud floods? Was it because of something else, right? Like it deserves more digging into that, obviously, but it makes a lot of sense. Like if we're in this cave reality, all these other caves are just a symbol or an analogy for where we really are, which is this huge, massive cave, or some people say this huge dome. And from what I've gotten so far, we're more like in this cave thing. And then outside of us, you have the actual ocean, you know, the sky is like blue as the water. And when you poke through that, you have what could be like the actual Earth even, but we're in these different realities. We've just, from one lifetime or one timeline to another, we've just been forced deeper into it. And this is why we're dealing with so many artificial suns and lights and everything else. So I hope this helped you guys. Thank you so much. And I will put the links below. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye.